Is that so that you can stop any people that are swearing and using obscenities?
Yeah, no, it's okay to curse. Okay, looks like we're fired up here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Kev Bayliss from Rareware and Playtonic in the house, and we're firing this stream up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
NerdCage Live and gaming are a perfect match!
Shoot the J, Joe!
Okay.
Shoot it!
All right!
Over on NerdCage Live on Twitch, Jay and Joe go live.
Call me Bazooka Joe.
It's all about you.
Kaboom!
Playing both old school and new school games every Tuesday night. Ooh, what a sight!
Jay, stop looking at her face and run!
But she's so beautiful!
So be sure to follow NerdCage Live on Twitch.
Run for your life, Joe! Run for your life, Joe!
Running!
Run faster! Oh no, Joe! The galaxy's doomed because of you!
To scratch your gaming itch.
Oh, nice kick, Joe!
Thank you.
Yo! That's diabolical! Wait. Yo!
That's twitch.tv/NerdCage Live.
Hey guys, it's the original Shao Kahn, Brian Glenn, and I'd like you to subscribe to NerdCage Live.
Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. This is Robert Meyer Burnett, and I'm telling you to go get in the cage, the NerdCage Live, and you watch, you like, you subscribe.
And you come back and you hear some cogent discourse about all things nerdy.
NerdCage Live, do it.
Hi, my name is Kev Bayliss, designer or redesigner of Donkey Kong, designer of Diddy Kong, Jago, Enderkurken, and Whizpig. You can't beat me! But what you want to do is subscribe to NerdCage, the YouTube channel. Just go there, subscribe, because you know it makes sense. And that's that.
That time is approaching once again, NerdCage Nation.
That's right. Mark your calendars for Saturday, December 13th, starting at noon Eastern, for Cheesy Movies for Charity 4, Alien Babes Galore.
Let's go. So join us right here on NerdCage Live for an all-day watch party event live right here on this channel, watching 5 films of cheesy goodness that feature an alien babe to make this a fun time. This year, our goal is to raise $2,500 for St. Jude's Children's Hospital using the Tiltify app.
Not only that, during the event, we will give away a Nintendo Switch 2 to one lucky and generous donor. So, Jay, how do you win?
In order to enter to win, anyone who donates $100 will get 1 entry to win the Switch 2. If you donate $150, you'll get 2 entries to win. And if you donate $200, you'll get 3 entries to win.
And in order for us to give away the Switch properly, we ask you to take a screenshot of your donation confirmation and email it to us at nerdcagelive@outlook.com before 10 p.m. on December 13th.
And at the end of the night, around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when we're done watching all the movies, we will take all the entries and spin a wheel live on air, and the winner will be chosen and will be contacted via email, and the winner has 48 hours to comply, or we're picking another winner.
Just like last year, the donation link will go live at midnight on Friday, December 12th, and will be posted in the details of the event live stream here on YouTube, as well as all of our social media, including our Facebook discussion group, NerdCage Nation, our Twitter and Instagram accounts, both at nerd_cage, and our Discord server. So you have plenty of time to make the donation.
And again, it is safe. We'll be using the Tiltify app, which is a trusted app, and your donation money goes straight to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So Joe, what movies are we watching this year? Exploding Transition!
Kicking things off at noon Eastern, we will be watching one of the sexiest sci-fi babes of the 90s with Species, starring Natasha Henstridge, which is streaming on Tubi.
Then at 2 p.m., we're going into freaky territory with Splice, which is streaming for free on Netflix.
Keeping within superhero tradition on NerdCage Live, at 4 p.m. Eastern, we will be watching Supergirl, starring the beautiful Helen Slater, which is streaming for free on Netflix.
Then at 6 p.m., keeping up with the zaniness, we are watching another bizarre sequel with Gremlins 2. You know, the one with Greta, which is streaming for free on HBO Max.
Then finally, at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be ending the night on the highest note possible with Miss Namikawa and the aliens of Planet X with our favorite kaiju film, The Invasion of Astro Monster, better known as Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, which is streaming on HBO Max. Once again, we look forward to ending the season of NerdCage Live with a bang for a great cause, raising money for our favorite charity, St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And we have no doubt with your help, NerdCage Nation, we can do something special together once again.
And be sure to like and subscribe to NerdCage Live, and we look forward to working with St. Jude's once again for Cheesy Movies for Charity for Alien Babes Galore.
Thanks so much, NerdCage Nation. We will see you Saturday, December 13th.
It has begun!
If what you say is true, the Shaolin
And the NerdCage
could be dangerous.
Greetings, citizens! You're now trapped in a NerdCage. We hope you have a smashing good time.
You're now about to witness the strength of Geek Knowledge. Hello, welcome. That's right, once again, you are trapped in NerdCage Live. This channel is a celebration of all things pop culture. So if you are new to the channel, or if you're coming from the fan base of Mr. Kev Bayliss, please hit that like button and subscribe. I'm your co-host, Jay St. G, certified geek, 7 days a week, coming to you live from yours truly, the land of the orange of Syracuse, New York. And our moderator and trollhammer, Joel FallenOne Gaming, is not here today. He's at work out there saving the world, but I believe he's in the chat. But hey, you got me. So I wanted to introduce our special guest. This is his second time here on NerdCage Live. You may know him as the father of Diddy Kong, the redesigner of the modern Donkey Kong from Rare and Playtonic. Ladies and gentlemen of NerdCage Nation, please welcome the one of the greatest game developers and artists of all time, Mr. Kev Bayliss. How are you, sir?
Oh, that was a big intro. Well, that's pretty good. I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. And just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. I see Artara, I see Joe in the chat. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming here today. So we got about an hour or so here with Mr. Bayliss. We're just gonna kind of resume what we talked about last time. Last time you were here, we mainly talked about Donkey Kong Country and some Killer Instinct. So there's other games and stuff we want to cover. But before we go any further, I just wanted to say that it was an absolute pleasure meeting you over at the Cleveland Gaming Classic, and I got this really awesome autographed print from you. And you also did some you did some sketches and stuff like that. So it was a real pleasure. It was awesome that you came all the way from Manchester to Cleveland, Ohio to meet all the fans and whatnot. It meant the world to me. So I'm glad that Joe and I got to attend and meet you and whatnot. So we'll start right there, man. What did you love most about the Cleveland Gaming Classic? And I got the T-shirt on. So what did you enjoy the most when you came to visit?
I think we didn't really get to see a lot of Cleveland, but the organizer of the show, and I think it's a family-run show, isn't it? So they treated us really well, and I think I was amazed at how big it had become in just a few years, because we were told that a few years ago that show actually took place in, well, pretty much a basement, and then it's grown to the size that it is. Well, was this year. I understand it's going to be bigger again next year. So, yeah, it was good. I mean, it's nice. I love doing the shows, especially when I've got some of my friends there too. So I was there with Steve Mayles and also with Grant. So it was nice to have a couple of drinks in the evening. And we've got some other friends that came to see us at the show, and we got one of somebody that moderates for me, Jen, from my channel on Twitch, and also for the Discord server that she set up. So yeah, there's a bit of a community of us that go there now. So I think there's a few other guests coming. I think Dave Wise is going over next year to a couple of shows. Steve Malpass, Chris Sutherland. There's a few of us coming over there. So because we just need some sunshine. Yeah, that's what we need. And
well, I was excited because we just had Dave Wise on our show like about 6 months ago, so that's pretty exciting to hear that he's coming to Cleveland. Yeah. Now, if you remember, we had I don't know if it's okay to say or not, but we kind of had a private conversation at Cleveland Gaming, and you mentioned that there's the possibility of you guys bringing your band and going to perform. Is that still a possibility for next year?
We're working on that. Well, we're not down, actually. We're not confirmed for Cleveland yet, but we'll definitely do it if we're invited again. Yeah, we're working on trying to put some kind of tours and stuff together for different parts of the US if we can. It'll all just come down to availability with everybody. He's trying to get a drummer and a guitarist and a vocalist, and then Dave, and then Grant, all available at the same time, and sort of base it around either a convention or some of the venues be willing to have us. But yeah, we're looking into all of that at the moment, so that's it's on the cards. I haven't got any dates yet, but we'll certainly be sorting something out. So.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful news. Also, I wanted to mention that you, Grant, and Greg did a wonderful panel at Cleveland Gaming that Joe and I got to watch. Definitely it was an amazing panel. You guys kind of went into the history of the games that you guys made, even the DK rap and all that. So
no, that was with Little Males with Steve. Yes, it was Steve Males, myself, and Grant. Yeah, it was a good panel actually, and I also enjoyed doing there was a little. I had about an hour where I did like a seminar where I taught people how to draw Diddy Kong and gave a few prizes away. That was quite fun too. So I like.
Yeah, I wasn't there. We weren't there that day. We were just there. I think we were there the Saturday.
That was the following day. Yeah, it was on the Sunday.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we came for the one day. Yeah, because for those who don't know, the Cleveland Gaming Classics, it's always 3 days long. Well, Friday's kind of like the pre-day, and then Saturday and Sunday is the main event. Joe and I attended on Saturday, and then I had to go back. And of course, we had to go back to work the next day. But we were happy we were there for Saturday. So, but we're really excited. Again, the fact that you guys are gonna be bringing the band next year. Hopefully we get a New York date, and hopefully we get a Cleveland date.
Yeah.
So we're definitely excited.
Well, hopefully New York. We're looking at New York actually. So watch this space.
Yes, excellent. We definitely look forward to that.
Yeah.
Also, I guess another thing. Okay, so we covered Cleveland Gaming. One thing that's been a popular topic here in NerdCage Live. Donkey Kong Bonanza. I know one of the things that you and I talked about was like the Donkey Kong got redesigned again. But I just want to get your opinion. How much of the game have you played, and just your general thoughts of Donkey Kong Bonanza? Because of course, us Donkey Kong fans just want to know what your take is on the game.
Well, I bought my Switch not that long ago. that took some approval from my wife because she said, you don't even use your other Switch. Why do you need a new Switch? Like 450 quid. And then there's the game to go on top of it. I says, you don't understand. I have to buy this Switch so I can play my game or the game that I've been associated with in some way, shape or form. And yeah, played it and I was excited. But then I think I started to create a painting for Playtonic. And so that kind of took priority. And then there was I'm sure there was stuff going on with Norway that I also had to do, and a couple of other trips. There was a trip to Switzerland, so I had to prepare graphics for the shows that I was doing with Dave and Grant and Dave Doak and the other guys, and then Bonanza kind of took a back seat. I should play it over Christmas again because I didn't get very far. But this is my problem. You see, I'm more of a pick up and play.
Yeah.
Quick blast on something. You know, I don't even complete Donkey Kong Country. I mean, you know, I like a game like Killer Instinct where I can see where the end is. I know how many characters there are to beat. There's my goal. But when it comes to a big sprawling adventure or something like that, I'm not really. It's not that I don't have a good attention span or the patience to, but something else always comes up and gets in the way, and then it gets pushed aside, and then I always talk about picking it up again at a later date, but I never get around to it. I still got to complete Star Fox Adventures, which I understand. I'm not sure whether you can actually play it on GameCube now on the Switch. I don't know whether you can play that, but if you can, then I should be doing that. If not, then I need to plug that in again soon and start streaming that, because I hate leaving things unfinished, even though there's many things I've yet to finish.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed DK Bonanza. It took we did a playthrough on NerdCage Live on Twitch, and I think it took us like 6
Don't
or 7.
spoil it. Don't no spoilers.
Oh yeah, I won't spoil anything.
I don't know if he's in it or anything. I only got so far. So.
I won't say anything about but I'm just gonna say I loved the game. Absolutely loved the game. It was fantastic, and there were so many callbacks to the days of the Rare trilogy that made me so happy. Now, I will say I did not play the DLC yet. I'm going to wait a little bit on that. But as far as like the general game, absolutely loved it. I think, personally, between Metroid Dread and Donkey Kong Bonanza, I think are the two best games Nintendo has put out the past decade. And speaking of Metroid Dread, Metroid Prime 4 is out today. We'll be playing that live tonight at midnight Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. Joe gets out of work at 11, so at midnight we're going to go on Twitch. We're going to be playing Metroid Prime 4 Beyond tonight. I am picking up my copy as soon as the stream is over. How'd you like that plug?
Yeah, a late one then.
But yes, Donkey Kong Bonanza was absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts when you get to the end of the game. I definitely cannot wait to hear your thoughts on it.
I'll do it. I think it's going to be another one of those. It'll be like every other game I stream. It'll be over a long period of time. I'm going to play it again at Easter. I'm going to play it again at whatever, you know. So people can witness how terrible I am at it. I like it though, but I did kind of feel like I wasn't really getting anywhere. I was just smashing stuff up. Do you know what I mean? It didn't feel the pace of it is just. Am I destroying this game? Am I going to cause it? Because it really feels like you could break the game. It really feels like you could crash it and dig through somewhere you're not supposed to dig. And so I love to try and do that. Maybe I will. But yeah, it looks pretty solid though. So I'm pretty sure that it's
there's a lot of digging and smashing involved. But my God, it's so satisfying.
If anyone's going to break anything, it'll be me. Ask everybody at Playtonic.
Also,
I should get a job in testing.
Also, I want to point out, too, is that I know you did some work on Donkey Kong 64. There's a lot of throwbacks to that game, too. So it's not just the original trilogy. There's a lot of throwbacks to DK64.
Okay.
Also, now, I have not bought it yet, and here's why. Another game I want to talk about right now, actually, is Yooka RePlayee. Now, I didn't buy my copy yet because I'm waiting for the physical edition, which comes out in 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting. I'm sorry. I'm kind of a snob. I hate buying digital only. I always have to wait for the physical release to come out. That's just me. I love
Yeah,
collecting.
I know. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer a physical. Yeah.
But yeah, the physical release of Yooka RePlayee is in a couple weeks here, and I just want to get your take on this. I don't know if I'd call it a remake or a remaster, but give us a just kind of give us the general feeling of Yooka RePlayee and why what makes this different from the original release.
Well, so for me, from a development point of view, I have a good job at Playtonic because my role, at least for the last few years, has been skidding around from project to project. And I think most people probably assume that we've been working on Yooka RePlayee and that's it. But with many projects, many vertical slices, and many different genres that we've worked on over the last few years, we try things out, see how they go, build them up, shelve them, come back to them. So there's a lot of projects on the go. And whilst we've got people, excuse me, working on the RePlayee, it's not really a remaster. It's a remaster plus, I guess. It's an extension of the game. It's an improvement and an extension and a remaster all in one. So it's like how we'd love to have made it had we got the manpower and the hardware power at the time. But it was a celebration, really, of the company being 10 years old.
Okay.
And it gave us something to sink our teeth into whilst there were also these other projects on the way. So for me, I stepped in when I was asked to step in, when we needed anything that was new or unexplored territory, which was for me, it was the Rextro arcade games. So if you haven't played the game yet and you don't know and you haven't bought it, then I can tell you now that the original Rextro arcade games are gone. Yeah, so when you go into Rextro's arcade, there is no Rextro games that existed from the first game. Now that's been replaced with a new entirely new game. So I can't really tell you too much about that because I don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah.
But my role was to create the characters for that game, work with a design team on creating a new character that you controlled and a new set of enemies for that. And it was really quite fun to do. In fact, we'll probably do a breakdown on that. I think at Playtonic, we're going to start taking some of our design documents and maybe doing a few videos online as to how we, behind the scenes look at how we create some of the stuff. But for me, again, I was waiting until the game was released, and then I was going to buy the game and play the game and stream it live because I hadn't actually really looked too closely at it apart from the odd screenshot and the odd little bit of video when we were going through the development process and obviously the levels that I was involved in. I really wanted to see how it differed from the original for the first time live so that people could see my reaction and I would also get a nice surprise for everything that I hadn't really taken a look at. It's been a long time since I played the original and worked on the original. It's 10 years, more or less. So, I look at it and I kept seeing the odd screenshot and bit of video and it didn't look too bad. It was a 2017 game, but when you think how much things have come on in the last 10 years, when you compare it to the new game, it's like night and day. The graphics are way improved. The control, the camera, and everything's been sort of enhanced to give you a much better experience. So I'm looking forward to see what you think of it too.
Yes.
But the team worked so hard on it to get that out in a relatively short space of time when you consider how much work's been done. So it's turned out pretty good, and we've had some really good feedback from it too. So.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to playing it. And let me ask you this. comparing it to some of your days at Rare, what would you say this is kind of like? Would you kind of like compare this game to? Because I know it's got flavors of Banjo-Kazooie in there. I know it's got some flavors of some Donkey Kong Country and whatnot. What would you say this game is comparable to from your past work?
I didn't work on them, but I only worked on Donkey Kong Country for a while when I created the main two characters for that, and then I stepped back onto Killer Instinct. But without a doubt, it's a homage to Banjo, really. It's it's a tribute to that game. So it's very similar kind of humor, kind of layout and structure to that. The story. And it's all got a lot of similarities with the game, but then it would have, because you've got half of the core members of the Banjo development team creating the game when we created it 10 years ago. So yeah, it's a nice tribute to Banjo-Kazooie.
Excellent. Again, we're huge fans of that what we like to call the golden age of Rare, and then our friend Artar in the chat said that the game kind of also reminds her of Spyro the Dragon. Some elements of that too. Yeah. Oh, now I got a question. I don't know if you're allowed to say, but is there any plans to kind of do a Yooka RePlayee of the Impossible Lair, or is there any plans for a third ukulele in the works?
I really can't say.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Our schedules go like this, and we kind of organic in the way that we work. In that we look at what's going on with the environment, and we look at what ideas we have, and sometimes things change, and so until we're absolutely certain what we're going to do with any particular IP, we kind of keep everything on the wraps, so we don't really want to let people know what our intentions are before we're absolutely committed. But so anything can happen at Playtonic, and that's a good thing. It's quite an exciting time there at the moment, actually. So there's many irons in many fires, so it's a good place to be. So
okay, yeah. Well, you know me. I interview a lot of people and a lot of celebrities, and sometimes part of my job is trying to get something out. So I was trying to see if we could. That's all good. But we're excited. We're excited that there's multiple projects in the works.
If we didn't do it, I'd be very surprised if we didn't do another Yookaverse game. Yeah. But I can't let anybody know what's actually going on behind the scenes.
No, I understand. I absolutely understand.
At the moment.
No, I get it. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I had to ask in case there was anything I wanted to ask. All right, let's go back. Yeah. Let's go back to the past now. I've been aching to. Okay, so last time we were here, when we had you on, actually almost exactly a year ago, actually.
Was it really?
Yeah, November of last year. Wow, about a year ago.
Okay.
So we talked about Killer Instinct 1, and so I want to continue our conversation and talk about Killer Instinct 2, which I believe is very underrated, and I feel like it's still to this day kind of didn't get the respect it deserved. I feel like it's kind of overshadowed a little bit. But let's talk about Killer Instinct 2. So I feel like you guys moved pretty quick from Killer Instinct 1 to Killer Instinct 2. That was a pretty short window. So how did that... Yeah. So take us back to that development cycle to Killer Instinct 2.
Well, we finished Killer Instinct 1 and then decided, let's make Killer Instinct 2. So that's what we... No, well, to be honest, that period of time was the most exciting time for me. I mean, it was exciting getting the hardware and messing around with the Donkey Kong model and experimenting with 3D software. But then when we got the better equipment and the software got a little bit better, not too far along the line of getting the initial pieces of equipment, it was more or less the time that Nintendo said, "Can you make Donkey Kong?" and they invested further in the company and provided us with all of the equipment, and we bought more SGI machines. That was also the time that we were seriously making KI1, because they kind of contracted us to make Donkey Kong Country and the fighting game. With Ken Lobb came over to help us with that and put it on a path that he wanted it to go on and introduce the combos, etc.
Yeah.
But at that time, the software was coming on in leaps and bounds. It was getting improved, and I don't know where it came from, but we just got this motion capture equipment. I don't know where the idea was getting us to beta tester it, or beta test it, as you would call it. We were asked to do that, and I thought, this is the only way we're going to get the animation done for this game. And so that whole testing the new software and the new hardware, and then this 3D motion capture stuff, and then watching movies like Jurassic Park and Terminator 2, it was a real golden age for cinema and video games, and everything was really changing. And so the first thing I'd do is go and make a Terminator-like man, which was Glacius, and then go and make a dinosaur because of Jurassic Park. And so that game, although I always compared Diddy Kong Racing and that game, DKR was the most fun I had, but I would say that Killer Instinct was the most exciting time because all these new things were happening at once. And when we got to the end of the game, I was kind of sad because all I'd ever wanted to do was make the fighting game. And when we'd finally got a team and we put it together and we had all of the tools to use, like the motion capture, the SGI, the big rendering engine called the Death Star with 10 processors, which rendered everything overnight really quickly. It was just magical. Everything was there. And when the game kind of came to an end, it's like, well, what do we do now? And it was just a no-brainer. We thought, well, this is it now. This is what we do. 3D graphics, 3D sprites, motion capture. Well, we got to do a second because, I mean, of course, there's Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat 2, and we got the Mortal Kombat 2 machine and a Street Fighter 2 cabinet and a Virtua Fighter cabinet, all at Rare. And so I kind of thought, this is it now. I am fighting game man. I'm not working on anything else. So I think we took a holiday because we worked really hard, and then towards the end of the year, around about September, October time, I think most people would take a week off, go somewhere, then come back and then start experimenting with new things. But I do remember going to a show with Simon Farmer, who was like one of our product managers and QA guys, one of my friends at Rare, and we usually go to America it was either E3 or CES. I can't remember which it was, but I'm sure it was either Game Fan or EGM magazine, a guy that had done a good review on the game, and with some journalist, I can't remember his name, sorry, but he would communicate with us quite regularly about the game because he loved it. And then we met him at the show, and I can't remember whether he got the SNES version may have been there, or whether it was there was a few arcade cabinets there to kind of showcase maybe N64 technology or something. I don't know, but we bumped into him, and I remember he just came up and says, "Hi, Simon, Kevin, how you doing? So when's 2?" And that's all he said. And we had actually already begun working on it. And we kind of looked at each other as if to say, how does he know we're doing this? And he says, well, you're clearly going to be working on it, aren't you, after 1, if it's done as well as it's done? And he says, yeah, well, we'll let you know when we get back home. Maybe we'll send you some pictures and stuff. So we kept in touch with him. But it was an ongoing thing. We didn't sort of finish. We just finished KI, and then straight away, I think we took that little break, holidays, whatever, and just intended to carry on and sort of hit the ground running with what we'd already got, remodel some of the characters, improve them because the software had got better. And then there were some improvements like the particle hair and stuff like that I added to the characters rather than having these plastic sort of shapes made of geometry that were over the head. And it just enabled me to experiment a bit more. I think all of the whoosh lines and special effects were actually long strings of particles. So if you can imagine like a cane with a load of streamers coming off it, that's what I would do. Every time Jago would swipe his sword, I would tell it to emit these particles, and the particles look like hair. But because it's computer graphics, you could make these particles that look like strands of hair glow, and they would stretch a little bit when the sword would move, and so they would leave a trail of this glowing hair behind in the same shape of the sword, because they would be emitted kind of like this pen. They would be emitted all the way from this one section, and then create a really cool, bright, glowing effect. And so I was just playing with that with everything.
Nice.
And it was just good fun, revamping the characters, making them look a little bit more colorful. And also, I think now a lot of people prefer the look of the first game, and I get it, and the sounds of the first game, and the atmosphere that the first game had. But I wanted to make the second game a little bit brighter and a little bit more colorful, and maybe fall into more of a teen cartoon kind of style, because the first game was very sort of gritty.
Yeah.
And I think that added a lot to the atmosphere, and I think we lost that when we got to the second game, because, as I say, I was playing with all of these particles and effects and making everything more colorful and brighter. And of course, Chris Seaver did the wonderful backgrounds on there, and we had a jungle scene and the pirate ship. Everything was a lot richer and a lot more vibrant. The characters got revamped. Spinal had more color and more of a uniform rather than just a basic skeletal character with a sword. But the other thing I tried to do was give the characters a little bit more personality, and to do that with such a small resolution, you would only have so much control of what the renderer could pick up with regards detail on a character's face. So you had to really make the faces a little bit bigger and the heads a little bit bigger, so that the rendering would pick up more detail, like the eyes blinking and stuff like that, or a mouth, if mouth opened, just so that you actually got a couple of pixels to show that there was some teeth there. I made the heads bigger, and I think the overall look of the game, although it was prettier and had more character, I think it missed the mark for a lot of people, because I think they were expecting probably something darker and grungier than the original, which was a little bit grittier, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of people thought, well, no, it's gone too kiddie now. Not that it was in any way any less violent, and it still had plenty of finishing moves and everything like that, and the graphics were far better than the first one, but I think the overall aesthetic of it didn't go down so well. For one example of the first game and second game comparison, to illustrate how I think we missed the mark, was I think there was a lot more time spent on creating the characters in the first game. Okay. And just saying, well, I'll just go ahead and build this character because I want a Predator style kind of knight character, which was Fulgore. Because you got a bit better definition and more colors, and I was better with the software, you kind of overcooked things a bit. And so when I made Fulgore Mark II, I wanted to make him a lot more, I guess, like the Terminator series. You had big clunky Arnold, and then you had the T-1000, and he was slimmer and faster and more agile. And I wanted to make Fulgore more like Vega from Street Fighter 2.
Oh yeah,
because
the claws,
like a ninja. Yeah, so I made him slimmer waist and a more agile kind of physique, but when I look at it, I don't like him as much as they did the first one, and I don't know whether that's because I overthought the design. It could have been better, and I would love to revisit it and do Fulgore Mark III, and and make something that was kind of a cross between the two, because I just wanted to add more detail to the original character, really. Yeah. So I spent a bit more time on creating whatever I could in the short space of time, panel work and maybe a couple of extra pipes and a bit more reflection on him. But the first one just had more of a better stance, and he looked a far stronger character than the second one, even though the second one was actually a way better character to control, really, because of the moveset it had.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Yeah, but
I have to ask, because this has bothered me for years, so I finally get the opportunity to get it off my chest. The one thing, okay, I love Killer Instinct 2, I do, and Killer Instinct Gold, I do, but the thing that bothers me the most, and I was wondering if you were going to get to it or not, but going back to the first game, I loved Cinder, Riptor, and Chief Thunder. Why were they not in the second game? Was there a reason they weren't in the second game?
I think we'd have loved to have put them in as additional characters or hidden characters. I think the whole idea was, they're all going in. I think we just ran out of time. We needed to get it. So had we had the time, then definitely. They weren't removed because they weren't characters that we thought were good. And of course, I'd have reinvented those as well. So it's probably just as well, because maybe I'd have spoiled Riptor for everybody and Cinder for everyone, because I know that the game's had its reboot and it looks beautiful and it's very fast and very frantic, but people like what they see first time around, whether it's a Donkey Kong model or whether it's a Killer Instinct model or whether it's a Mario model. And the people, when they see something change, sometimes there's an instant reaction, a gut reaction, say, hey, this is different. I don't like this anymore, even though it's better, maybe. And maybe if they saw that as the first rendition of a character, they would have accepted it as the first and says, no, it's perfect. But I think when you change things too much, which is possibly what I would have done with Riptor, I'd have probably given him a horn, and maybe a hood, which comes up more so he can become like a Triceratops when he rammed people, which may have looked cool, but it's the way you implement it. And if you go too far and you start taking characters too far, you can kill the character. And I think if you're going to do that, you may as well just invent a brand new character. So rather than having Fulgore in there, it would have been great to have had rather than changing him, it would have been great to have a Fulgore and a Fulgore T1000. Do you know what I mean? So there were two versions in there, and you could pitch them against each other. And maybe the same with Riptor. Maybe they'd been experimenting on a different prehistoric creature, and we'd got two to battle with. Cinder was a funny one, because it was really originally Cinder was not flaming on my first renders of Cinder. And when he first went in the game, it was actually sort of black volcanic rock with glowing cracks. That's how he looked, with red eyes. And every now and then, we were going to make him sort of flame on, if you like. I remember at one point he was kind of black with the red glowing magma, and he was also called Magma at one point. And he was also called Meltdown. We put the fire around him, and it didn't really look right. It looked more like the effect when you got torched in Street Fighter 2, where you were kind of a charred black silhouette and you were surrounded by flame. And it didn't really work, because he just looked like somebody that was already, his flames had gone out, and he was extinguished, and he was just sort of smoldering. So we said, well, let's just see how he looks when he's actually made of a volcanic flame, if you like lava. And so I managed to find a way of doing that in Alias Wavefront Power Animator Maya, whatever it was called at the time, and it just looked better. He had more presence as a fully flamed on character. But then, of course, he was basically just a clone of the Human Torch from Marvel, and so I don't know whether we decided maybe we won't do that again with this character, because I don't know what else we can do to it other than maybe introduce the charred version of him, which would have looked like a downgraded version of Cinder. So there's so much we could have done with the characters for the second game, but I think around about that time, people were starting to move on to N64 development and looking at the dev kits, and it was quite clear that we were going to be making 3D characters rather than rendered sprites. And so there wasn't, after a point in time, I remember I actually had a car accident, and I spent quite a bit of time off work with a broken knee.
Yikes.
And when I came back, everybody had moved on to the N64, and I had no clue how to work on the machine. And I started building some models for the next fighting game, which I assumed I was going to be working on. And I posted them online at some point. They were kind of like teenage, almost like Ranma 1/2 style game, and kind of a almost anime style fighting game characters which I'd built in 3D, and I had intended them to be the next Killer Instinct game, but we were going to call it something different, and maybe it was going to be Killer Instinct like a prequel, and so the characters were going to be younger before they trained up to become whoever they were eventually. But again, I'd moved it more towards that stylistic cartoon style, so it probably wouldn't have been well received anyway. And Chris Tilston was the main Killer Instinct guy. He was the main guy that wanted to make fighting games when he started at the company. And he'd already moved on to Conker and started helping with N64 development. Excuse me. So I got back, and I had nowhere to put these graphics that I'd built, or nobody to create anything. And I'd got these two characters which I'd built. And then Tim Stamper says, well, so what are you doing now? And it just happened that Chris Stamper was making what was called Adventure Racers. And so he says, well, go and work on Chris's racing game then. So that's what I ended up doing. And I'm glad I did do it. And I seem to remember something going on with a Super Nintendo conversion of what we'd done with Killer Instinct 2. I do remember it was happening. I can't remember what it looked like now or how complete it was, but I know Chris Tilston was doing something on that at some point. But yeah, the game, I think it was a good sequel. Yeah, I do. I think it was everything it should have been for a sequel, because I think also the whole energy bar system was revised a bit, and the way that combos and the power kind of accumulated as you battled on, it was different to the first game, and that was sort of evolved a little bit. But then the moves evolved for the characters that we did keep, and also we introduced new characters. It's just a shame we didn't get a chance to add in the original characters and maybe then take that to a new level with Killer Instinct 3, which I also wanted to be almost like a sideways scrolling thing rather than the VS. Yeah, I wanted it to move along, meet somebody, beat them up, win, lose, go back, beat them. You know, I wanted it to be kind of a progressive VS game. So...
actually, I got one more Killer Instinct question, and you tapped on it a little bit. We obviously got Killer Instinct Gold on N64, which was basically Killer Instinct 2. Some minor differences, but it was basically Killer Instinct 2 over on N64. Was there a reason that the first one didn't make it to the N64? I know we got it on Super Nintendo, which, by the way, you guys did a great job condensing it down to 16-bit. It still blows my mind you guys were able to pull that off. But how come we never got...
The conversion was fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, it was. How come we guys get that?
And I'm pretty sure as I say, I think there was a version for Super Nintendo which wasn't released. And if the first one's anything to go by, from what I remember, it would have looked closer still to the arcade game. But I think at that point, I mean, we got Gold out, which was the kind of we originally, it was supposed to be Killer Instinct 1 on the N64, but that came out on the Super Nintendo because we could, so we put it out on that and says, well, no, we'll reward everybody with Killer Instinct 2, which will be, I think we wanted everything on there. We wanted to put both games on there at some point, but like a dual game. But as I say, around about that point, I had a quite a nasty car accident, so I didn't spend a lot of time at work in the meeting room discussing what we were going to do with this game or that game. And so when I returned, Killer Instinct 2 was being converted to the Super Nintendo, and then it kind of stopped, and everybody, it was all hands on deck with N64 platformers, because I think after seeing Mario, we decided this is the way to go. We need to be exploring these 3D environments because this is the future, and I think that's what Tim and Chris wanted to do. Excellent. And that's what we did. We basically, every game then was trying to make the most of a 3D environment, like Blast Corps, DKR with the adventure element there, and with obviously DK64 too. You just had to make use of that 3D technology rather than doing just something that was going to be essentially a two-dimensional game on a 3D system.
Excellent.
So I think that was the reason behind it.
And I guess we can kind of close off our session here. For one of my favorite Nintendo 64 games ever is Perfect Dark, and I actually really enjoyed Perfect Dark Zero as well. But can you go into the history of Perfect Dark real quick, because
I was only involved in that for a short period of time. It felt like a lot longer though. It was okay. So Brett Jones, who sadly passed away not that long ago, designed Joe Dark, and my involvement with the game was really I kind of came into that project towards the end. I was working on Dinosaur Planet at the time, and I remember there was a lot of animation sequences and a lot of motion capture to clean up. And because I'd had some experience with the motion capture suit from Killer Instinct, I was asked to come over and assist with the cutscenes and mainly clean up and moving cameras around and setting up some scenes to tell the story based on the script that was given to me. And I'm not really, and I never have really been a fan of first-person shooters, so it wasn't really an ideal game for me to be on. I like character-based things where I can see a character, not a hand and a gun. I just, for me, that sucks. It's just not my kind of thing.
Yeah.
If I play a racing game, I don't want to play from the driving seat. I want to see the car in front of me. It's just the way my mind works. I need to see what it is. So, but I obviously I went over onto the team and spent maybe a month towards the end working on the cutscenes, and I think I remodeled a couple of characters like the Skidars, but they I don't think my versions went in eventually because they were a different style to what was in the game. The game was kind of very it had a visual style which was almost kind of Gaussian blurred and shaded. It didn't look rendered. It kind of looked like a cartoon to me. Yeah. The N64 version, Perfect Dark. It was detailed, but it was all kind of flat. There didn't seem to be a lot of baked in details. And if you put something in with too much detail, all of a sudden it stood out like a sore thumb and looked like it was from another game. And that's what I was doing over on Dinosaur Planet. So when I made a new Skidar and rendered it up, it didn't look like the dark, black, alien-esque characters in the game. Mine looked more like something from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So that didn't go in. But then I stepped back onto Dinosaur Planet then. And then one afternoon, I got Simon again, the guy I mentioned earlier, came over to me as he usually did and says, Kevin, and he held up a piece of paper and says, we need the box art designing for Perfect Dark because we've only got this. It's been kind of left to the last minute, and the team are that busy doing stuff. There was a mock-up of a box, but it was using the in-game characters with a few modifications, and it wasn't. It didn't sell the game. And so Simon says, we need something quick. Nintendo wants something different to this. How long can you spend on making something? Bearing in mind, it's got to go tonight. So it was
no pressure.
About 11 o'clock in the morning. It's about 11 a.m., I think. And I thought, well, how can I make this work? Well, the game's called Perfect Dark. Let's just have a black box. So I thought, but what I could do is I could maybe build. I remember around about that time the movie Final Fantasy was available on DVD, and there was all of this hype and promotion on realism on the characters' faces because you could see pores and skin and eyelashes. And there was so many shots of an eye up close. I thought, well, I'll just model an eye and about this much of a face, a nose, and I'll spend a half a day modeling that because really all I need to do is make a sphere, make a texture for the sphere for the eye, and then put some eyelashes around it and an eyebrow. I can build this piece, flip it to the other side, then hey presto, I've got almost like a ninja mask. And then if I darken around it, it'll look like it's just in perfect dark. I can take the gun asset and put that in front of the face in a James Bond kind of pose.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then I remember Brett said, can you put the reflection of the alien in one of the eyes so we can make it have a little bit of story to it? And so that's what I did. And I think I finished it at about 2:30 p.m.
Wow.
And then it was maybe the problem was rendering stuff because you had to keep testing your render, and your renders went from top to bottom like this. You couldn't just check to see whether the eye was okay. You had to let the whole thing go from top to bottom, and you would wait for 10 minutes and maybe about 5 scan lines had come down, all depending on how complicated your lights were and your shadows were. And because I wanted realism and there was reflections and stuff, it was taking forever to render. So the problem was rendering it and getting a high resolution at the time render created and putting it in a format which was for the template for the box so that they could have it that evening. So I did that, and eventually I was happy with it. And she looked a little bit odd. She didn't look quite right, but it was good enough, and it sold the game, and it's a kind of an iconic title. You know that that box is Perfect Dark.
I love it.
But I went over to get back onto Dinosaur Planet then, and about a week or so later, Simon came over again and said, "You've not finished. We need a full model of her because there's absolutely zero promo material for the release of the game. We've got the box, yes. We've got the game, but we've got no backup art or anything. We need a model of Joe Dark at least. If it's, we could make the alien and all of the other characters, Carrington and everybody like that, but there's no Joe Dark model. We need a Joe Dark model. Can you make that?" So I spent a few weeks, or a good couple of weeks, building that, and I had to make a brand new head, and with the machine and the hardware at the time and my modeling ability at the time, making her look pretty and making her look like Brett's original concept and almost reminiscent of the character in the game was kind of hard because it was a halfway. It was neither one nor the other. And also, I'd got a completely different NURBS model of a set of eyes on this other box art, which I'd done for the US.
Yeah.
So I just spent this time building that Joe Dart model, which turned out okay. And eventually they made the doll. I've got one of the dolls, quite large sort of dolls we all got sent. And yeah, she turned out okay, and we did a fair few renders of her. And then I was kind of done with it, and that was my work on Perfect Dark 1. Went back onto Dinosaur Planet, which was now morphing into Star Fox Adventures. Worked on that until it was probably about 70% complete. And then Tim and Chris asked me to go and join the Perfect Dark Zero team because they wanted to change the way it was looking. So
wow.
And that's my story from Perfect Dark.
Well, oh my God! Well, thanks so much. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. I'm just gonna say this: that at that time, because I'm getting flashbacks, man. I loved Perfect Dark so much because I actually loved it more than GoldenEye, because it had that sci-fi element to it. Yeah, it's a great game, but it felt like at the time, that you remember how like Lara Croft kind of took over the world for a while for like a stretch of like 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Late night. For a moment, it felt like Joanna Dark was like the next Lara Croft. Like she took over as like the lead female video game character, like mascot. You know,
she could have been, but I think the next game was taking quite a long time to develop, and originally it wasn't a large team. And I think there was concern that it was just going to take forever. Maybe they were trying a little bit too hard to go for realism, and also realism wasn't really Rare's bag. We were more Banjo-Kazooie. You know, it was going to be a shooting game at the end of the day, but I think they weren't comfortable with it heading in too much of a realism direction because you're going to change your ratings and appeal to a different audience. So they wanted to bring it more into a teen kind of category when it came to rating it. And so we'd just taken on Will Overton, who was great at drawing that kind of style of characters. And so as a modeler, I was just asked to go over there and start implementing some of Will's concepts and changing the look of the game so that it looked more like a typical Rare game, which I have to say I kind of felt uncomfortable with when I was over there because there was a lot of work that had already been done on making the game look as realistic, and it was really impressive. The motion capture was better. That had all come along a long way since the Killer Instinct motion capture. You didn't have to run around with the cables wrapped around you and strangling you. You now had these little white, almost like ping pong balls stuck to you, and a set of cameras which read your orientation of your movement and your joints based on these little markers, which were ping pong balls, really. And so the motion capture was way better. So it was more realistic, and it was proper 3D. So it wasn't like the stuttering animation, which I used in Killer Instinct, where although I'd rendered plenty of frames, we had to take frames out, so it didn't look as silky smooth as proper motion capture. So the game it looked quite adult. And by the time you started adding physics engines in there, it was starting to become something else. And so Tim and Chris were worried about that, and they said, we need to make it look like a Rare game. And so Kevin, go ahead and do that. And of course you've got a team of people that have already invested a lot of time and effort into making something look a particular way. It didn't go down too well, but eventually, you know, I think the game came out looking really good. But I actually finished working at Rare just around about the end of that project. I think I was all video gamed out by then, because it's all I'd done since I was 16. So, and as I say, first-person shooters aren't really my bag. So, had it been a fighting game, I think I probably wouldn't have left Rare. I probably would have been there working on KI2, the brawler, the scrolling adventure, VS game, multiplayer, 4-player fighting game, which that's inevitably what would have happened with it had I stayed there. But I didn't. I left. But I was proud of the way Perfect Dark did turn out. Eventually, I think it had a unique look to it. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're hitting an hour here, so I guess I'll let you go. But I just want to make one more point too. Is that, man, I wish we could have gotten Joanna Dark in a Killer Instinct game. I think she would have been a great Killer Instinct character. I'm just throwing that out there. I think she would have been a great guest character for Killer Instinct. I could just picture her fighting against Orchid.
Microsoft have got all of the cards, haven't they? So if they want to do that, they can do that. You know.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, Kev, this has been absolute pleasure talking with you again. We're gonna have to have you come back sometime next year, because there's more games I want to cover with you. But man, this has been absolutely fun. Talking about Perfect Dark, Killer Instinct, or Killer Instinct 2, and of course Yooka RePlayee. So to end the stream here, Kev, is there anything you want to promote, and do you have a message for our NerdCage audience before we go?
Other than Yooka RePlayee, really go and check it out if you haven't done. It's very different to the original. Aside from that, I've got my paintings still on the go. I'm going to do another stream again. I start streaming again this weekend. If you remember, I built the Whizpig character. I can quickly show you that.
Yeah.
Remember this little guy that I sculpted about a year ago, actually. I decided I'm going to paint him this weekend and start painting him.
You can't beat me!
You can't beat me! You can't beat me! Yeah, so I've never done that before, so I'm going to try it out this weekend, and then obviously get onto some more painting. I've got music to do with Dave Wise and Grant for some releases, vinyl releases coming out with those guys.
Nice. Which
should be quite exciting to work on. And then stuff going on at Playtonic, which is exciting too, which I'm busy with, but you'll just have to wait and see for that. So just, as I say, watch this space. But everybody, have a great Christmas too. And you have a good holiday. And I'll come back next year. No problem.
Excellent. Yeah, like I said, we love having you on, and hopefully, not only that we'll have you back on NerdCage Live sometime next year, hopefully me and Joe will be able to catch you in person again and see the band play. We absolutely look forward to that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be over in the US sometime next year as a group. So
yes, we can't wait.
Brilliant.
One last thing before we go, guys. Just want to let everybody know that Joe and I will be back on Twitch tonight at midnight for the launch of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. That's twitch.tv/NerdCageLive. And speaking of Twitch, be sure to follow Kev on Twitch. The link is in the description of this video. And obviously, mark your calendars for next Saturday, December 13th, for Cheesy Movies for Charity 4 Alien Babes Galore, as we're going to be watching 5 terrible movies while raising money for St. Jude's. And this year, it's going to be starting at noon on the 13th, and we're going to be watching Species, Splice, Supergirl, Gremlins 2, and Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. So please, if you can help donate money to St. Jude's, we really appreciate it. And anyone that donates at least $100 or more will be entered in a prize wheel, as we will be giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 with Mario Kart bundled with it. So,
wow.
Yep, we're giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. So if you donate $100, you'll be entered to win in the prize wheel. We'll spin the prize wheel at the end of the night on the 13th. So somebody will win a Nintendo Switch 2 from NerdCage Live. US and Canada only. I'm sorry, I cannot ship that to Europe because it's expensive to ship over. So yeah, it's US and Canada only. But yes, we hope to see everybody next Saturday on YouTube for our charity stream, and we'll be on Twitch tonight for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Again, thank you to Mr. Kev Bayliss. It was like I said, it was an absolute honor to meet you in person this past summer over in Cleveland, and we can't wait to have you back on the channel. It's always a pleasure talking all the stuff that shaped our childhood. And again, Mr. Bayliss, thank you for everything. You made our childhood so awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for your time here on.
No, it's lovely. It was lovely to see you. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you again next year. Okay.
Absolutely.
But yep, have a good Christmas. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
That time is approaching once again, NerdCage Nation.
That's right. Mark your calendars for Saturday, December 13th, starting at noon Eastern, for Cheesy Movies for Charity 4, Alien Babe 4.
Let's go. So join us right here on NerdCage Live for an all-day watch party event live right here on this channel, watching 5 films of cheesy goodness that feature an alien babe to make this a fun time. This year, our goal is to raise $2,500 for St. Jude's Children's Hospital using the Tiltify app.
Not only that, during the event, we will give away a Nintendo Switch 2 to one lucky and generous donor. So Jay, how do you win?
In order to enter to win, anyone who donates $100 will get 1 entry to win the Switch 2. If you donate $150, you'll get 2 entries to win. And if you donate $200, you'll get 3 entries to win.
And in order for us to give away the Switch properly, we ask you to take a screenshot of your donation confirmation and email it to us at nerdcagelive@outlook.com before 10 p.m. on December 13th.
And at the end of the night, around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when we're done watching all the movies, we will take all the entries and spin a wheel live on air, and the winner will be chosen and will be contacted via email, and the winner has 48 hours to comply, or we're picking another winner.
Just like last year, the donation link will go live at midnight on Friday, December 12th, and will be posted in the details of the event live stream here on YouTube, as well as all of our social media, including our Facebook discussion group, NerdCage Nation, our Twitter and Instagram accounts, both at nerd_cage, and our Discord server. So you have plenty of time to make the donation.
And again, it is safe. We'll be using the Tiltify app, which is a trusted app, and your donation money goes straight to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So Joe, what movies are we watching this year? Exploding Transition!
Kicking things off at noon Eastern, we will be watching one of the sexiest sci-fi babes of the 90s with Species, starring Natasha Henstridge, which is streaming on Tubi.
Then at 2 p.m., we're going into freaky territory with Splice, which is streaming for free on Netflix.
Keeping within superhero tradition on NerdCage Live, at 4 p.m. Eastern, we will be watching Supergirl, starring the beautiful Helen Slater, which is streaming for free on Netflix.
Then at 6 p.m., keeping up with the zaniness, we are watching another bizarre sequel with Gremlins 2. You know, the one with Greta, which is streaming for free on HBO Max.
Then finally, at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be ending the night on the highest note possible with Miss Namikawa and the aliens of Planet X with our favorite kaiju film, The Invasion of Astro Monster, better known as Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, which is streaming on HBO Max. Once again, we look forward to ending the season of NerdCage Live with a bang for a great cause, raising money for our favorite charity, St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And we have no doubt with your help, NerdCage Nation, we can do something special together once again.
And be sure to like and subscribe to NerdCage Live, and we look forward to working with St. Jude's once again for Cheesy Movies for Charity 4, Alien Babes Galore.
Thanks so much, NerdCage Nation. We will see you Saturday, December 13th.
NerdCage Live and gaming are a perfect match.
Shoot the J, Joe.
Okay.
Shoot it!
All right.
Over on NerdCage Live on Twitch, Jay and Joe go live.
Call me Bazooka Joe.
It's all about you.
Kaboom! Playing both old school and new school games every Tuesday night. Ooh, what a sight!
Jay, stop looking at her face and run.
But she's so beautiful.
So, be sure to follow NerdCage Live on Twitch.
Run for your life, Joe. Run for your life, Joe.
Running.
Run faster. Oh no, Joe, the galaxy's doomed because of you.
To scratch your gaming itch.
Oh, nice kick, Joe.
Thank you.
Yo, that's diabolical. Wait. Yo!
That's twitch.tv/NerdCage Live.
Ooh, trying to get out of the NerdCage, are ya? Well, before you go, hit that subscribe button. And if you're really intrigued, ring that bell. Thank you for dropping by. Until next time, tell everyone you know about NerdCage Live!